Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Peter Howitt's Johnny English from 2003. So yes, here we are with this review, and it's been a long time coming now. I got this requested, of course, from the YouTuber Jared Griffiths. So check out his channel. Really, really great channel. I'll leave a link in the description. Honestly, check that channel out, please, if you have time. And yes, yet another request. This whole trilogy was requested by Jared. So here we are, starting it. A bit overdue, but I did watch these films, all three of them. I started, kind of maybe 2 months ago now, actually. So yeah, it's been a while ago. But yes, I did see the first, and second film, Johnny English Reborn. Many years ago. I saw Reborn at the cinema, actually, and then of course just recently seeing for the first time Strikes Again, obviously. And yes, these films. And this won't be a spoilers review, and it'll be quite a quick review. But yes, I will be reviewing the trilogy. Kind of a little bit spaced apart here. But the first one, I think this film very very clearly is of course an homage to of course spy films, but mainly of course we must say James Bond. So yes, very very interesting set of films here. Of course, also kind of another little take extension maybe if you will on the Mr. Bean character, of course, and just Rowan Atkinson, quite a few of his performances, kind of stuff he brings to this film. It's all kind of a combination, I wouldn't say mashup, but a combination of many, many different things here. And yes, just, I think, I will say it now, this whole trilogy, it doesn't seem, it's too popular. Actually, very, very surprising. And this is in praise of it. Surprising it actually got a sequel. Because it's whenever I hear about this, trilogy or even the first one, not many people like these films. Really, it's quite panned really critically. These films, they're not popular. They're very, and for me, very underrated. I feel I must say that now. I do like all three of these films. I was actually very surprised at the third one because I thought that would be not as good. And once again, just not popular really. It seems a lot of people do not like these films and just don't find much in them. And once again, the critics weren't too kind to the film, but yes, I think even that film is actually a good film. Very, very enjoyable films. These, they're solid films. Certainly so much comedies I think out there that just are awful films getting made, and these films, I think are actually very charming films, just very warm comedies that are very kind of just very peaceful at times, and also some great action scenes and stuff, and yeah, it's just a very pleasing and kind of enjoyable homage, of course, to different things. But of course, Rowan Atkinson as well makes this trilogy really. But yes, this film, the basic plot is, of course, this character of Pascal, basically trying to, and come up with a plan to steal the crown jewels, and his further plan, which won't ruin, but basically this takeover. A lot of films, obviously, and it's obviously an homage to Bond films. If you've seen them, you'll know kind of what this film is in many regards, and where it's kind of going with the kind of main plot of the film. And yes, basically, Johnny English, is this spy, and he's basically a last resort, if you will, because many of the other agents are kind of taken out, and it's basically, MI7 agent, of course, Johnny English is brought in, as a last resort here, and of course, the gag, of course, being that he's very clumsy and everything, and yes, just not your typical agent, and of course, it does kind of as well take from some of the Pink Panther films, obviously, as well there, with Inspector Clouseau, but yes, it's just despite taking from a lot of films, it is just its own thing. I feel, and just definitely very enjoyable. I don't feel these films really go for any cheap comedy. I wouldn't say. Just the main thing is it doesn't quite. I don't think the material, especially the script, and the overall involvement with the villains in these films, all three of them, and stuff, really allow the film to elevate, to a higher level, and there's just moments throughout these films, really where it slightly sags a little bit, and just doesn't quite go the extra mile. I think the greatness is Rowan Atkinson and Ben Miller as well. Actually, he basically plays the partner, of course, of Johnny English, and he helps him along the way in this film and in the third, which I was very surprised at. I didn't know, really what would go on with that film. It was great to see him return in that. He's not in the second film, Johnny English Reborn, but yes, he's in this film and he's basically the partner here, and he goes along on the missions with, of course, Johnny English, and yes, of course, the attempt to bring down Pascal, and yes, just save the nation, if you will. So yes, very, very straightforward plot, and yeah, I just think a good comedy, very enjoyable. It may not be a great film, but I do really, really enjoy this film. I think just it moves along very nicely. It's kind of got this wonderful charm to the film. Just a very dry humour, I feel. Rowan Atkinson, I just think, is a great, great comic actor. He really, really is. Certainly one of my favourite, comedy actors working, at least now. Certainly so. He's got a real flair, of course. He just knows how to time the comedy perfectly, really, at times, and just it's just very likable. I feel Rowan Atkinson as an actor, in everything, really. Even his performance, very small performances like Love Actually, of course. Just standout scenes, that he kind of shows up in. He just makes kind of makes the comedy great. He really is great. And yes, in this film and both the other sequels as well. I think he's great in the film. The character as well. I think that Johnny English, partly, of course, or mainly because of Rowan Atkinson, is actually really, really well realised. I think that's the great stuff. And Ben Miller as well. Kind of the chemistry, the kind of the charm, the camaraderie between them. That's what really makes the film. The rest of the film, in pretty much every way, is not great, and that's why I think overall the film is just good, as opposed to more. I think the big flaw for me personally is the villain. I don't really think it's quite funny, of course, just because how over the top it is. Sometimes it is funny in a film when it does that, but especially when it's of course John Malkovich. Seeing him in many serious roles as well. It's funny to see him in this film, in this way. But yeah, so I this is one of the things. The script here as well, the way it's written, the character, it's just a bit too heavy-handed, a bit too kind of basic, one note, and just very. I would say it could have been better, much better. The performance, it's only really going with what is given to John Malkovich, but again, it's not. I don't think it's great. That's all I say there, and it does the whole kind of plot here. The kind of Crown Jewels. It adds for some comedy, of course. Much comedy in the film, but it just as well. It kind of it isn't that compelling where it could have been, and I just think the actual filmmaking throughout the film really. It's just it's fine, it's basic, and it doesn't quite allow the film to elevate at all, really, and stuff. And there is some moments here and there, maybe in the second half, where it slightly peters out a little bit, in terms of just the gags and just overall investment to the film. Although it definitely doesn't have a weak act at all. Just the final act, once again, like a lot of comedies, just. Yeah, it maybe isn't as good as some parts of the film. The whole kind of it does have some hilarious moments in the final act. Just as well as having kind of moments that could have been better. I feel, and just it's a bit too much, really. It's a bit silly. Nothing I can call great. Really in the final act. But I did really like the character of Lorna, actually, played by Natalie Imbruglia, I think it was. Yeah, she was actually very good. I like the kind of romance, if you will, going on with them, and just it's enjoyable. Again, nothing great here, but far better kind of romance in a type of film like this than a lot of films where they have to kind of have it in there, and I think yes, it kind of did in this, but it wasn't actually good. I liked her performance, and just found it enjoyable. The kind of the character of Johnny English, how he does find a kind of relationship in that way. The way it's done was funny. Again, of course, partly because Rowan Atkinson is just legendary comedian. But yes, I think the film also has some good action scenes as well. There is some real impressive slapstick in the film, and maybe there isn't a sequence that are mastered. I feel mainly because of the filmmaking. It's not because of the performances or anything. They've got it all down to a T really, but it's just some of the filmmaking, the editing perhaps, and just the build up at times to particular gags. I thinking back, maybe not quite as good as it could have been, but yes, I think definitely an enjoyable film, very enjoyable I think, and I do really like this film. In terms of quality, I think it's a good film. Very, very strong outing here. The direction by Peter Howitt, it's solid. It's not great, I don't feel. That's one of the things, as I say, the overall way it's directed, it's shot, perhaps the editing, stuff like this, and just I think what they could have done with the editing and stuff for comedy, just slightly missed the mark a little bit. Although very, very competently directed, kind of for the slapstick and stuff, and I think the performances here are really and the actual character of Johnny English, is kind of the best thing about the film. All three of these films really, and these characters, Ben Miller's character of course, and Rowan Atkinson's character, just the chemistry, the kind of enjoyability, them teaming up, just kind of taking down this villain. Although the villain I don't think is good really at all. I think it does make for some funny stuff in the final act. But other than that, I think just a fine film. I think I'd have to give it a 75%. I think that's fair. It's not a film that I love, although I do love the character and just the performance. The two performances mainly in this film, really, really enjoyable. This is it's a trilogy that none of them are great. I don't feel personally, although I can understand. But I think it just ticks many, many boxes for me. Just in terms of paying homage, of course. Just the fact you've got this enjoyability of these two main characters, and stuff, and just seeing Rowan Atkinson in this role, it is really hilarious, especially I think in Reborn, which I must say is actually extremely, extremely close to this one. Actually, I think the third I was saying has a bit worse, but still good. But yes, I think in the second one actually the slapstick, the levels of kind of laugh out loud stuff is actually at its best in that one, and I think in terms of just action scenes and stuff, for example the bit of course, with the wheelchair, of course, and stuff there. The scene, of course, with the car chase. Moments like that, I think, are at the peak in that one. But I think this one, it's just got such a consistency to it. Really, there's a kind of peaceful nature to this one. A kind of just a very kind of tranquil feel, to this, and the way it's just very, very dry humour. The second one's a bit more all out kind of thing, and much more mainstream, which is fine. But yes, this one I think is definitely so charming, and I just think it's an enjoyable film. Not much more to say here. It's not a great film for me, although there is some greatness in there, I feel. And yes, I think it's interesting how these are very, very unpopular at times. I don't think they do anything to offend or kind of really annoy someone. I wouldn't quite see, but yeah, clearly they're not too liked. But I happen to be on the positive side. I know there's kind of a cult following. I'm surprised, this film, got sequels really. Although it's very successful at the box office, it just, as I think most of that are watching this, not loved films at all. Most people do not like these films. A lot of YouTubers have given them low scores, which is completely understandable. It's fine, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. But yes, I just think it's very strange how, as well critically, just quite panned. But it's interesting. That's all I'll say. And I happen to be on the positive side. I definitely really like these films, and just a consistent trilogy. Certainly one of the best kind of comedy set of films, trilogies and stuff, and yeah, it's just all three are kind of consistent. I feel, and yes, I think this is contender for the best of the three. Although I won't say what I prefer this and Reborn just yet, but definitely this one is a very very effective at times kind of tribute, kind of parody, if you will, of spy films, especially James Bond. Although mainly because of kind of the villain in this, I think it does let it down. I know, of course, you're not meant to fully take the plan seriously or anything. It's just I think the actual scenes, mostly with the villain, did bring the film down a bit for my taste. Although it's very fun to see John Malkovich in the role. I think just the character is a bit. I didn't really enjoy the character too much, and just some moments throughout the film as well that just slight lulls, and overall not great, but a solid outing, of course, and a 75% is a pretty high score from me. I do really like this film, and just yeah, it's definitely an underrated film. I feel just for my taste. I think all three of these films, very very underrated. Definitely recommend them if you've not seen them. If you love James Bond, and just different Rowan Atkinson films, the Pink Panther films. I think you'll probably maybe find something in this, kind of hit and miss really. It seems with people's reactions, but yeah, definitely recommend them. I'd say give it a go. See what you think. You might love the film. You might not like it so much, but yeah, clearly divisive films, but just check it out. I'd say definitely for me, very enjoyable, and yes, a good comedy. So yes, of course, once again, thanks to Jared. I know, of course, you really you've actually cited the second one, on your page. Basically, as among your favourite films. So yes, I look forward to reviewing that one. As I say, I do think it's very very close. These first two films, the third one a bit worse, but definitely another underrated film. So yes, I should review that one. Reborn, in the next kind of week from when this is uploaded, something like that. But yes, I look forward to reviewing that, and certainly a recommendable film, this one. And yes, as always, thanks for watching my review.